This is the plaintiff, Carlos Vasallo. He says he rented a room in the defendant's house, moved in at 6 p.m., and by 11 p.m. that very same night, the defendant told him she wanted him to move out the next morning. Huh? Not only did she kick him out after only living there for a few hours, she refuses to return his $1,700, so he's suing. This is the defendant, Anne. She says she realized something wasn't right with the plaintiff after he moved in and got a bad vibe from him. The guy was one of those close talker types. You know, they get right up in your face and invade your personal space. She gave him his security back. She doesn't owe the weird guy anything, and she can't wait to be done with the troublemaker once and for all. She's accused of ripping off a roomer.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case in the docket. The plaintiff moved into the defendant's house, and literally 5 hours later, she ordered him out. But the defendant says she had a bad vibe from the guy, a close talker. It's the case of you give me the creeps.
Thank you, Douglas. Okay, Carlos Vasallo.
Yes,
you are suing Anne. You've asked to be referred to only as Anne, as well as Anne's landlord, for $1,700 that you say is owed to you that she refuses to pay. Tell me what happened.
Your Honor, can I see this person? Because I don't think it's the person that she did
Anne?
with me.
Can you turn around and look at him?
Yeah, she is. I'm sorry.
Oh, well,
Well,
mercifully that has been taken care of.
She has a different haircut.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so what happened?
On July 12th, I responded an ad on Craigslist about renting a room in Queens. And I met Anne on the 13th, and I told her that I liked the room and I was willing to take it. And then I was planning to move the next day.
And the room is in a what, in an apartment?
Yeah, it's in a house with 2 floors. It's just a room.
All right, and the rent was how much?
$750.
Okay, and so how much money did you give her?
$1,150.
Which was $750 for the rent. Okay, what was the $400 for?
To half the rent for the month of July. I prepaid the rent for the month of July.
All right, so then what happens? You move in on what day?
I was planning to move on the same day, on the 14th, because I have told her on the 13th that I was moving on the 14th.
Okay.
And she didn't respond to me until I gave her cash.
So you move in, and then after you move in, you didn't sign a lease, right, with her?
No, I asked her also if she has a lease and who was the landlord, and she says there is no lease, and then he says, I like...
Okay, so it's a month to month, and then when you move in there, what goes wrong?
That was around 8 o'clock, and she took my cash, and then around 9:30, she texted me like she didn't want me in the apartment, and one of the reasons I believe that it was the day that I came, it was another couple, one brother and a sister.
So, I'm sorry, so you were there an hour? You moved in, what did you move in?
I had a bag with
just a bag.
2 laptops, yeah, and some clothes.
Just a bag, that's what you moved in?
Then after I pay her, I call the bank company to come next morning to bring my stuff.
And by then, she had already told you, I don't think this is...
Around 9:30 the same night.
So according to you, you were there one day. Not even one day, you were there an hour.
2 hours, maybe 1 hour and a half.
Did you sleep there?
Yeah, because I had no other place to go. I asked her,
and then what'd you do? When did you leave?
I left about 2 days later because I told her I needed time and I had no place to go and I needed some time.
Where did you end up going?
I ended up going to a friend's house that I called him and he says, you can stay, a few days until you fix this problem. And that's what I did.
And then what'd you do? Did you find another place?
Then, yes, but it took me about 3 weeks to...
What happened?
I felt something wrong with him, and then I didn't want him to stay in my house.
Well, you got a lot of nerve. I mean, you told him he could move in. He moves in. Granted, there were no trucks and furniture, but he comes in. He's got an agreement with you, and then you just don't like, there's something wrong with him? What was wrong with him?
He got close me so much, so I had to step back 3 times.
He was a close talker? He would get too close to you when he talked?
Yes, very. So
Okay, so you're creeped out by him and you don't want him to live there, and you tell him he's got to go, but why don't you return his money?
I did return the money,
What money did you return?
whole deposit, which was $750.
Did she return $750?
Yes, she did return $750.
Okay. How long did he stay there?
Maybe a week or 2 weeks.
Who are you? Come on up.
somebody-
Come on up. You got to come up for me to hear you. Go
She's
ahead.
not understanding.
Okay, a lot of people get roommates from Craigslist. Is it too risky to do that?
Yeah, yes it is.
Why?
'Cause you don't know the person. You don't know who's out there, who's trying to get something free or creepy guys out there.
Fair enough, but is there a way of protecting yourself? I'm going to go in the back there.
Biggest thing is to meet them in a safe spot. That's the only thing you really could do.
Well, okay, you meet somebody in a safe spot and they don't mug you. Does that mean you're going to be their roommate?
You gotta take a risk sometimes.
What do you say?
It's really risky because they could be either a big creep, they could be a murderer, you never know. And you never know.
They could be, but they also could be nice too.
They could. And I feel like sometimes when you meet a person for the first time, you kind of get the vibe off them and you know.
But sometimes you don't.
Yeah, and that's when you should just say, I'm not going to risk it.
Got your point. Going inside the courtroom.
Help me here.
If you see, I'll be able to explain.
I can't wait to see it.
Okay. She wants to know, how long did he stay there?
I charged him the exact amount.
You're not doing so well.
Yeah, I'm trying.
I know you are, and I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
From my understanding, he didn't stay there 1 week. He stood 2 weeks.
Well,
and
I
that's
don't know,
why.
because she said 1 week.
Right.
No, I
But
didn't.
let's say
You
she
did say
said
1
one
week. You
or
did.
2 weeks. So he says it's 1 day.
Right.
Let's say it's 2 weeks. What does it cost to stay at your place 2 weeks?
400.
All right, so what is it you're suing for? You're suing for $1,200 in rent you paid to a friend for July and August. Why should somebody else pay your rent to a friend? You would have to pay rent anyway. Why would somebody have
Because
to
it
pay
was,
your rent?
first of all, it was much more expensive, and then it created me a lot of problems because I had this project. I had to start looking for an apartment, and for the next 3 weeks or 4 weeks, I had to look for a place almost all day long, and then I had to pay this guy.
Do you have any proof of when you started sleeping at your friend's house? Do you have an affidavit from your friend, or do you have any text between you and your friend asking to stay there or anything like that, where I could see the date of that?
But he said 2 weeks, and I moved in on the 14th, and then if it is 2 weeks, I left. She paid me the money back on the 24th, so it's not 2 weeks.
How
at
do
all.
we know that she paid you the money back on the 24th?
Because I have her emails meeting
That's
me.
it. That's it. I want to see some proof of when the timing is. So if you have emails or texts or anything like that, let me see it. Thank you.
Here, that's the date.
Okay, thank you.
I see on July 16th, you texting her, asking her for a password. So I know that on July 16th you're there. That's 2 days later.
Right.
Then I see on July 20th, you texting him saying, I'll be at the apartment around 6 and give you your money back. You need to give me the receipt and the keys back instead. Thanks. That's what you text him. This is a text you send, and it's on July 20th. It's not July 28th. It's July 20th. So it has been 6 days that the guy was there. 6 days. And you are texting him on July 20th that you need the keys back. Are you the one who's writing these? Because it's in perfect English. So is it you who's writing the text?
No.
Who's writing the text?
It's not me writing it.
Yeah, well, okay. So here's what this is kind of interesting. Send by email. If you don't, do you have any proof of the expenses of moving? Besides
Here.
you saying so? No, I don't want to see your piece of paper you typed. Did you ever move anything into the place?
No, I did not.
Exactly. So she doesn't have to pay for your moving truck. She doesn't have to pay for future rent for you. The only question that we have is, why did she return so little money to you? What, if any, of the money she didn't return does she have a right to keep? That's what we need to discuss. Now, it's $400. The rent is $750. If I divide that by 30, that's costing you $25 a day. If you're there a week, that's $175. If I take that out of $400, she owes you $225 additional dollars. Okay, and I'm calling it a week based on the text that you just showed me. It wasn't a day, it was a week. It wasn't 2 weeks, it was a week. This is the right thing to have happen. $225, verdict for the plaintiff.
So the plaintiff gets a lot less than he was seeking, at least $225 back. And do you understand what's just gone on here? You've got to give him $225 back, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You're a lady of few words. Okay.
Sorry,
Think she understands?
She gets it.
Okay,
It was
good.
fair.
All right. Thank you very much. You must
you.
sign some documents
very much.
with Officer McIntosh. Now, the plaintiff's on his way out of the courtroom. Seemed to be a lot of confusion here on both parties. Do you understand what just happened and how much you got?
Yes, but I'm a bit disappointed. But
I'm not
the judge's
surprised at that. That's normal.
Right.
But you won something.
Well, yeah, but
Okay.
it's still I had to put money out of my pocket because of this woman behavior.
Well,
So
unfortunately, you don't get back
That's
from the
okay.
court. All
That's
right.
all right.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you,
Nice
sir.
chatting with you.
Bye-bye.
Harvey, what do you think?
So this is kind of interesting. We always talk about 30-day notices to leave, where the landlord has to give 30 days notice or the tenant has to give 30 days notice. There are lots of exceptions to that, and in this state, and in a lot of states, this is a private house, and private houses are exempt from these landlord-tenant laws.